and it's gotta be Cinnamon Toast Crunch. That's the only thing that's soothing my soul. Turn on the TV to Power Rangers. Now it's morphin' time. I'm ready to go.
All right, guys. So this is Professor Bill Riddick again here. We're here to part 2 of our charrette. I don't know what that is. It's a word that I made up. We're gonna talk about stuff. We're talking about the brand new movie, The Best of Enemies, or Best of Enemies, featuring Taraji P. Henson as well as Sam Rockwell. We've got 2 opposing sides here. We've got the Black Empowerment Movement represented there with Mr. Chuck Taylor. We've got the NAACP represented with Mr. Frank Puna here, our guest for tonight. Obviously, they're both black because the KKK wouldn't show up and be a part of this. Let's go ahead and get into the spoiler review, sir. What do you think about this movie?
Well, I think, if you watch our non-spoiler review, we're going to talk a little bit. We're going to regurgitate that a little bit, so it'll be okay. We'll get a little more detail. But basically, I think the movie had, I guess, it was good and bad. You know, it had its good moments and its bad moments in there. And I see they were trying to show a story to really show how people can grow and change no matter how far of the opposite spectrum they're on. I think the acting with the 2 main characters, the 2 leads in here was awesome. You definitely can feel both sides and definitely see the passion in both of them as you know throughout the story and throughout the movie. But I guess the biggest thing that I just didn't, the biggest thing that I could see was that they still basically followed the same cookie cutter sheet they've been doing for the last, I guess, few movies that they've done with a lot of the historical racist movies. They show really one side. They really develop one character a lot more than the other one, and you kind of see the arc of the other character, especially with the white character. Let me say that the white characters, they get more of an arc in a lot of their movies, so you see their change and their development on how they became, however it ends. And a lot of times, especially on this one, they didn't really give her an arc. Taraji's character, they gave her she was basically the same person at the beginning of the movie. She was at the end of the movie. Yes, they became friends and things. I think her views changed, but basically what I got, I didn't really learn a lot about her. I guess maybe the time it may cut a lot of her story or her portion out of the movie from time constraints. I know a lot of times that happens when they edit the movie. You have a great movie showing, but it's like, almost 3 hours, so we got to cut it down, and we really want to show this message of how this person changed. And I understand that they want to show the arc of the Klansman guy. What's his name?
CP Ellis.
CP. I'm just on CP. They wanted CP, so we know basically why would that type of person ever side with the person that he's supposed to hate, and really kind of dissect him and really show how a person became that way, and that they're not necessarily evil in everything, but they just have skewed views of life and what they think is fair. And I guess the one thing that a movie that I can say that does a good job of showing both sides is Remember the Titans. That's like one of my favorite movies. And I just remember the scene like when you saw the black players and the white players, like when they're in the room and you just see them basically going right at each other and like basically both telling each other how they feel about each other, but both also being able to hear and understand the other person's point of view and being able to see them grow. And then it becomes a friendship. It's basically the 2 captains of the team. So it kind of reminded me of her and CP in this movie. Like they both had to be locked in the room and both were the heads of their people and had to, come to some type of agreement. And then they become friends out because, we're not really that different when you break everything down. We just, the world and people that we hang around and stereotypes, all that stuff messes us up a lot of times,
Right.
And that's the sad thing about the human race. We let everything else dictate how we're going to treat each other. We don't look at each other just as human beings. I mean, you look at two kids that are different races, they'll play with each other. They don't have no problem with it. But as soon as the parents get around, that's when you start seeing them make their changes. Oh, don't touch them. Don't talk to those people. Those people are this. And we put our prejudice on. But I definitely think on that movie, you were able to see both sides and equally. You're able to see them equally. And then you got to see the transition. You got to see the hard things that happen to make them become friends. Like when they were just on Remember Titans one time when when you saw them in the training camp sequence and they're like working hard and they're like basically having to run gashes all day just because they can't get along. And then finally it breaks them like, okay, we got to come to an agreement because I can't run these gassers every single day again.
Right.
Man, like, so we're going to have to do something. How can we help you? How can we work as a team? And basically, bringing those two sides together and forcing them to, make a decision for the greater good. And you got to see all the different little stories, even when they got back to school, how they start taking up for each other and friendships develop. On this one, it was rushed. You didn't see a lot of the why did they become such good friends by the end of the movie? Why was she speaking at his eulogy? I know they didn't give us all, they couldn't give us all the details, but it doesn't seem that those little sessions that they had would have made that big of an impact that they would be that close of friends at the end of it. It seemed like it would have some life, some real true stuff that happened that made them like, okay, I really care about this person now. Just sitting in a room with them meeting for a couple weeks doesn't seem like it would do that. So I think that's one thing that the writer and director may miss. They should have brought some of those heartstring moments to really show why they care about each other in the film.
I guess with myself, I didn't really get the impression that they were close by the end of the movie. I think that's something that happened like over time. Like that's something that we don't see. I think by the end of the movie that they were able to come to an agreement. And from that agreement, then they was able to grow, from there. There's things that, that happen over the course of probably, 10, 20, 30 years.
Yeah. I guess it just was hard to kind of see some of that in the film. So I think that would have been, they would have brought some of those stories, maybe some of the other points of view, seeing how they came together on certain issues. Had those type of moments so the audience really understand, because we only get to see these characters for about 2 hours, so we're supposed to just all this magically happens and everything's good and I feel happy now. It's like it needs to be, with this type of story, it needs to be developed a little bit better. So I think they need to stop really rushing. They need to make sure they slow down and show you the grit and the earth and the stuff that nobody really wants to talk about. Maybe him standing up and really going after his party and really changing his ways with Taraji there type of thing. Like, I don't know, maybe they just should have had more moments like that in the movie. But what about you?
Okay. Well, Miss Puna, are you there, sir? I see that your camera is on. Oh, okay. I was scared. Can't get you. Good, sir. What do you think about this? So this is the spoiler review, sir. So feel free to go ahead and say everything that you want to say. And of course, do not follow Chuck's example. Make sure to keep it at 5 minutes.
Yeah, you never gave us a time limit.
Hey,
it's only like 150 show.
Okay, I'm on camera now?
No, you're good.
Okay, great. All right, yeah, man. Yeah, based on the true story movies, to me, for over the years, it's been difficult for me to watch because I always come in with the angle of, you have the true story itself and how it's told by the actual people that went through those events. But, when it turns into a movie, it becomes about not what the story is, but how the story is told. And that's and how the story was told. Is what bothers me about this movie more than anything else. Like this story became about there were several arcs going on at once because there was a one particular event that happened And oh shucks, my battery's running. Okay, had a little technical difficulty there. I should be back on set. All right, so so you have the fire at East Durham School,
Right.
and that is what caused a city that was segregated to come together. And somewhere for me that got lost because the focus became on the villain, CP, and his journey into becoming a Ku Klux Klan king of North Carolina. Now is now gradually accepting integration, accepting other people of color, and so forth. As I've mentioned before, the movie is, and Charlie and you have mentioned yourself well, Bill, Rashad is freaking. The movie was way too rushed. There's a lot of minor details that could have been put in the movie, like for example, like I mentioned earlier, the kids. The kids are going through this the most. And if we could have had some of the pictures of the kids having conversations with each other, they're the ones displaced. They're the ones going to a new school. What are the kids thinking here? Are some of them going to go to the same schools? Or some of them separated? Are they going to all go to the same school together? There could have been a little scene with that. And phone is going crazy. All right, so also the charrette guy, I'd like to know more about him. They had a phone call. They call him up. Hey, we know this guy here. This guy. All right, we're going to bring him on, and he's going to solve all our problems here. Hey, he said, hey, he has a good rap sheet of solving these type of issues. Can we hear more about this guy's history? Could we have a conversation of what he's done? Like when he meets Ann Waters and CP, it takes time to gain trust. I mean, they just threw him out there and say, hey, this is the guy you trust, and you should go with it. He's going to save the day. It's like, all right, let's see. And a lot of, again, there was a lot of, like the bar scene, there was a lot of scenes that were unnecessary to me, like the bar scenes. I'd rather have seen the kids were thinking instead of the little bar scene they were having, these guys having issues. We didn't see a lot of what the black people were going through, except when it was time for the town hall meeting. Yeah. And, and this movie felt more of, the redemption of the Ku Klux Klan king of North Carolina. I hate to, phrase it like that, but, it's just another, it seemed like it was like and there was just even some of the languages and the dictions. I love that. I love the Southern twang, but there was just not enough intellectual dialogue. I know there was a lot more of Ann Waters than that was depicted in the movie. That's why I said I kind of questioned how the movie was even written and how
that's her last name is Atwater. If she was Waters, she'd be my king. And my king. And I want the money under the book deal.
Yeah, thank you. But that's just about the size of it. It was just how the story was told what really, really bothered me, and it seemed like a movie that could have been a documentary. It could have been a better documentary, and I've seen somewhat of a documentary. I think on YouTube is very good. It has some very good information. I don't know. I wish they could have at least picked off some of that and put their own twist to it. But yeah, it seemed like the basis of how the movie was presented to me, I would have been more happier seeing a documentary of this and seeing everything in detail in its totality on the history and how things happen and the chain of events.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you, sir, for that. Let me see here. So let me get my thoughts on it. Kind of going back to the non-spoiler review, like I said, it's all about Taraji to me. I think she's fantastic as the main character. You truly, truly feel what she feels. Also, I think the movie is very informative. Like this whole charrette thing, I had never heard of that. I still don't know what it is really. But look it up and find out. But I never heard of something like that being done, and I thought it was really cool. In order to find out about it, I thought it was really cool to see that a professor from an HBCU had such a prominent role. Like, hey, we need to call this guy from Shaw. I mean, that's a big deal, that they could have called on anybody, but they decided to call a black guy from Shaw University and to have him to bring in things. And I found out that he's a graduate of A&T, which is pretty cool. I couldn't. A couple things here. I'm gonna have to disagree with you guys, though. Okay. Some of the white savior stuff doesn't really bother me that much because that stuff happens. Well, why does it? I'm gonna tell you. Okay, because that stuff happened. Like some of those things, like this particular situation, where you have a person in the Ku Klux Klan, not just any random person, but the Cyclops of Durham, North Carolina, changing his mind. That happened, and that's a story that needs to be told. I like the idea of really kind of getting into why did they think that way, because it's so easy to pass judgment on other humans and just say, oh, they're just evil, they're just racist, whatever. And that's exactly what they're doing to us. They just, those racists look at us and say, oh, because you're black, you're this way, you're inferior, you're this, that, other. And we have a lot of movies where the Ku Klux Klan just shows up and they're just the bad guys and they're just racist and they're really one-dimensional characters. So for this movie, I like the idea of kind of digging and let's find out why he was like that. Like at the very beginning of the movie, there's a little monologue of the actual C.P. Ellis talking about why he joined the Klan, and he felt like he was finally a part of something. I like that. I want to dig into that. I don't mind that the movie spent so much time digging with his side because, like I said, he's the villain. You don't have to have a reason, at least in my opinion, you don't have to have a reason to side with Ann Atwater. She's right. That equality should be there. Why is this person a racist? Why does he hate black people? And then not only that, but why should I like him by the time I get to the end of the movie? Like, you really have to dig. I do have a question, though. I wonder what was left out of the story. Like, for example, it seemed like the two things that really helped to convince him was the fact that Ann Atwater helped his son. His son was, for our viewers, his son was had some type of mental disability, and helped to get him into a separate room or keep him in a separate room as opposed to having another young man in the room with him because that was just freaking him out. He really appreciated that. He didn't want to show that he appreciated it, but he did. He realized that she was a human being from that. And the other major point was that there was another guy that was a part of the charrette that was in Vietnam, a white dude. And he had a lot of respect for him as a person that had served in Vietnam. And he was very disappointed to see that the other members of the KKK basically shut down his business. And so those two things were basically, we're led to believe that those two things were the main things that changed his mind. And I don't know. I feel like there would have been more. I feel like it would have, because he was not a good guy. I mean, he was shooting up people's houses. You know what I mean?
He's the king. He's the big dog of the group. So he's making decisions. Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
Some of the things that KKK was doing, it shouldn't have really bothered him that much. So I really want to know what happened. I disagree with what you were saying as far as the length, because it's not a documentary. This story is meant to whet an appetite. This story is meant to say, here's a little bit of what happened. Now you go and go dig for yourself. There's a book. You can read a book. I'm sure there's plenty of information online. You can look up Bill Riddick. But I think this had to be presented in a way that it could reach as many people as possible. So it had to be digestible, a little bit. Real quick, there's only four things I didn't like about the movie. Okay, first thing, and I know Chuck, I know both of you guys can relate to this. I have lived in the South all my life, okay, and I know what an old redneck walks like. That walk that they have, that's ludicrous. I know what that walk looks like, and Sam Rockwell does not have it. He tries. You can definitely tell, like, more so than any other movie that I've seen. He actually tries to duplicate that walk. Like, most of the time when you're playing the races, you just walk regular. But no, he's trying to He tried to get that strange walk that they have. But to a true Southerner, I can tell he's just trying to imitate it. You know, like he doesn't know how. Frank, do you agree with that? I mean, you know they got walk.
He needed, somebody on the set needed to talk to him like he needs to walk like he just had a hip replacement or something. You know, that's what that. Exactly. Somebody needed to give him a better direction on how he needed to walk because he didn't walk like a Northerner or a Midwesterner or something like that.
Yeah, somebody just did gave him a wadded up piece of paper, stuck it down the back of his pants. I'm like, all right, now I need you to hold this between your butt cheeks, okay, while you're walking, okay. My other problem with this movie is the pacing. Initially, the movie moved forward with a great pace, and there was a little bit of comedy mixed in that made it digestible. But as you get towards the end and it gets a little bit more serious, it starts to slow down a little bit. You know, so you kind of got to get through that. Let me see here. The movie is definitely about the movie is about both characters. It's about Ann Atwater and C.P. Ellis, and there's literally a point in the movie like she sits down and you just see her face. And it's basically the realization that there's nothing else that she can do. And pretty much that chapter of the movie, everything dealing with her is closed. She's done. You don't see her again until the final part of the movie. So everything from there is basically about C.P. Ellis. I don't have a problem with it being about C.P. Ellis, but Taraji Henson was my favorite part of the movie. I hate to lose her for like about 10 or 15 minutes of the movie. I would rather have still seen that back and forth like they did earlier. And, the last thing is just the source material. Again, the white savior movies don't bother me, like I said, but I am tired of watching movies where a white person gets applauded for actually transforming into an actual human being.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that does piss me off a little bit. I don't have a problem with, white people helping. That's cool. I'm good with that because there was a lot of white people that fought and died in the name of civil rights for black people that didn't have to. I don't have a problem with that. But just to say, oh, you're actually a human being now. You don't want to kill black people anymore? Congratulations to you. You're a great guy. Like it kind of pisses me off to keep seeing that. You know what I mean? But that's what it is. I mean, it doesn't piss me off from a narrative standpoint. It just pisses me off from a real life standpoint that there are so many people that have been raised that way, and their mind they have to understand. Oh my God, maybe I shouldn't kill people because they're different than me, But I really enjoy this movie. I think people should see it. It's an informative movie. It's great acting. Other than that walk. But if you're not from the South, you probably won't even recognize the problem with the walk. Chuck, should people see this movie?
Like I said on the last show, I think you should check out the movie for yourself to see, how you feel about it. So I definitely say check out because it's a good story about how people can come together from different ends of the spectrum, and they can work together and to accomplish a goal. And I think we definitely continue to do more of that in this world. Being able to work together and not being so divided off of everything. So, for that standpoint, I definitely think it's a good message to show, and you definitely need to watch it and you need to know about your history anyway. So, definitely go and check it out.
Definitely represent Durham. Durham!
Bull City, baby. Even though it's not
Bull City. What about you, Frank? Should people see this movie?
Well, I think you've changed my view a little bit, Rashad, in the sense that
that's what I do.
for a historical perspective. I'm sorry, what was that?
I just said that's what I do.
He's tooting his own horn a little bit.
Oh,
it has some technical difficulties.
I can't get nobody else to toot for me.
Okay, all right, cool. But from a historical perspective, yes, if you want to get a little bit of what's going, of what happened, and then you want to go doing your research later. This movie will definitely captivate you to do that. It just happened to me that you guys encouraged me to go see the movie, so I said, well, let me do a little bit of research while I'm at work before I go see the movie. Typically, I don't do that. But I think from this point forward, I'm going to do that, or at least after I see the movie, I'm gonna at least dig up and do some research and expound some more, because it was that was a very interesting story that I had no idea about. I've been taught a lot of history about Durham. Durham, North Carolina has a rich civil rights and Black history in that particular town, in this state of North Carolina that we're in. And I didn't know about that story. So I'm glad you guys put me on to this. I saw the trailers and everything, but I wasn't really compelled to go see it. But I would encourage people to see it definitely for educational value. It definitely will. We definitely will come out there with a great information and a piece of history that everyone should know about.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good, Frank. We appreciate you being with us for these two shows here. For those who, if this is your first time watching, Frank is not normally with us. He's our guest here. Kind of put him on the spot, made him redecorate his house, charge his phone, and pay for movie tickets. We're a real bad group. We really appreciate him making all this sacrifice to be with us. And you can look for Frank coming up pretty soon when we're going to do a live and in-person review of Avengers Endgame. So you'll be able to see the man in his greatness. Don't just come for us. Come for Frank Tuna. Big Tuna. Of course, if you like what we did, make sure to give us a like. Leave your comments. What did you think about this movie? What did you think about our feelings about the movie? And as usual, you've got to subscribe to Survive
now.
There you go. This is Color Commentary, where we give you views from a stop being racist side.
Please.
People.
And it's gotta be Cinnamon Toast Project. That's the only thing that's soothing my soul. Turn on the TV to